We're told about the little books in the Bible. And I believe the little books are opening and speaking of what the Father has done for them. I have countless times I can recall things of where the Father took care of me when I didn't deserve it. I, at one point in time, had belly pain. And I ran to man, seeking for answers. And little did I realize what a mistake that would be. He went in, didn't really find anything, couldn't figure it out, so he didn't understand. I was discharged home. Several hours later, I started feeling bad and ran to the bathroom to throw up. My daughter told me, because I don't remember any of this, that it was nothing but pure blood. I just remember bits and pieces, and I remember laying on the floor and some of my co-workers talking around me, and I remember them saying I had no blood pressure, and my heart rate was 130, which is elevated. And the next thing I know, as I lay on the floor, I'm laid in huge hands, surrounded by love and peace that goes beyond all understanding. Those words do not even do it any justice. I was rushed back to the hospital, of course, back to surgery. And the doctor had said he didn't understand where all of the blood came from. He never found it. It shunted itself off and filled my abdomen, filled with blood. And according to man's science, I should not be here today for that. I have pictures that went down my leg, all across my abdomen, all the way up into my flanks. The crews that worked on me told me they didn't think I was going to make it. But the power of God prevailed. I was in the hospital, and they had given me so much fluid that I blew up like a balloon. If you can think of it, I weighed 112 pounds. When I left that hospital, I weighed 176 pounds. They had to pull the fluid off of me. I was given medication without verification that nurses are supposed to do. And as I look back on that journey, all those times I depended on man, he failed me and made mistakes over and over and over. But what I realized is I was always in the Father's hands, and walking through that trial, well, I'll tell you, it was more of a tribulation, because it took about 2 years for me really to start feeling good again and looking better. But I realized the power and majesty of God, how he protected me, even when I made the mistake to turn to man. I know when I was discharged from that hospital, I was not in the best of condition. I still had an elevated heart rate, and a blood pressure, if anybody knows about this, is about 80/40. At that time, I told my husband, I have got to get out of here before they kill me. And then I realized what my pappy meant. You ain't taking me no dang doctor. They're just gonna kill me. We have to depend on God through all of this. Depending on man can only cause more problems. We have to turn to the one that can heal us. He will guide us. And yes, we have to live in the physical world and have nutrients. But I know a lot of the stuff that we hang on to that make us, weighed down and worried and bitter. When we let that stuff go, disease means against ease. Well, if we're against ease, how can health be present? It can't. I think now, with everything that's gone on, we're going to see more and more people stop depending on man and start depending on the Father. If you're going through things, instead of complaining, give Him glory, for He rests upon you. If I'm not mistaken, it was Paul that said, I shall glory in my infirmities, things that were against us. God's seeing us through it. We just have to walk by faith and not by sight. And I wasn't on the right path when all this happened. His grace and mercy allowed me to be here this day to give it as a testimony. We all are the little books. We all have a testimony to speak. And all the little books are opening, speaking of God's majesty and glory, how He's seen them through things that were unexplainable. I hope to see more testimonies being given by people and giving God praise, for it was only by His mighty right hand